What's up, y'all? It's your boy Kev on Stage, and it's time for In Traffic with Kev on Stage, where we talk about things, news, whatever. One of you guys sent me a question, and I thought it was a good one to answer, and basically asked Kev, what do you think about the notion that black churches in most cities don't come together? And I thought that was interesting, because I've heard a lot of people say that, but the experience of my church experience, that hasn't been the case. When I was a child, there was, as far as I can remember, there was only really one black church in El Paso, and that was the church that we went to. Later on, that pastor left and started his own church, and then we really didn't get with them, but that was more because people were like, you left. It was more of that thing, but there wasn't like 17 churches to get with. But even all those churches, we got together with the churches in New Mexico and Albuquerque, pretty much quarterly. So there wasn't definitely any bad blood. And the next place I moved was to Virginia, and I was too young to remember one way or another. I do remember that we would go to other church services and things like that. But of my kind of adult life, when I could absolutely make claims one way or against, and that was mostly in Washington, age 16 and up. Well, actually, let me go back. In North Carolina, we visited with other black churches. They came to ours. We did, Code 330 services. Remember, I was still younger. We went to South Carolina a couple times, so there was that. But in North Carolina, in Washington, that we did a lot of stuff. A lot of my friends from other churches. When I first met Melissa, there was a thing called Riot Night, and it was a teen, like Sunday night service, and it was popping like the club. People that didn't even go to church would go. It was crazy good from all over the city. Kids that were in my high school that didn't even go to church would go to that Riot Night. That's when I first met Melissa, and I didn't even I never went because I played sports and didn't want to go to church on Sunday night as much as possible. But later on, at Greater Life, we did a lot of stuff with other churches. We worshiped with them. We did picnics with them. There was definitely no bad blood. Pretty much all the gospel music people would have their like musical CD releases and concerts and all that stuff at various churches. Most of the bigger churches, or the church that fit their need. When it was like Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin, it would be at this church. We'd see all the people from all over the city, Seattle and Tacoma come. It was a smaller, like independent local artist that would have it at one of the smaller, churches, basically depending on how big they were. But we did a lot of stuff together. I've had friends saying that, in other cities that this is a problem, but I can't say that I've ever experienced that in my life. So I'm glad. I'm glad. And I wonder, people of other denominations and other cultures, do Spanish churches have this notion or this discussion? Same thing with non-denominational churches, predominantly white churches, or any other culture. I wonder if Korean churches be like, y'all ain't finna come over here for 330, or if they do it a lot. It's just interesting to me that, this is a thought in the black church. It hasn't been my experience, but it has been other people's experience. But I wonder if that type of thing happens. I've heard a couple of different preachers say that Sunday morning is the most segregated time in all of America, and I can't say I disagree, but I think it's changing. I think in the past it was absolutely black. It was historically black and your denomination. When I was young, you were black Kojic, you were black PAW, you were black UPC, black Baptist, black, full gospel, whatever. And then you were white, you were Catholic, you were Muslim, you were Lutheran, you were whatever. But now there's a lot more, there's a lot less focus on denomination. It's still very powerful, but it's not as strong as it used to be. And there's also a lot more integrated worship services with, worship teams and members, which I believe is much better for the body of Christ. So that's my thoughts. Your boy Kev on Stage. Been in traffic with Kev on Stage. Something you want me to talk about? Newsy type stuff. I stole that from Philly D. He says this is where I talk about newsy type stuff. But news related stuff or whatever, and we can talk about it while I'm stuck in traffic. It's your boy Kevin. Say see you tomorrow. Oh.